What's my take on the Rokid Style smart glasses? I wore them on a day trip to Baltimore, and I'll give you my opinion. Plus, I've got a Ziggy update. Stick with me.
From Studio B in Swarthmore, this is iCantCU. Now, here's David.
Hello there, and welcome to another episode of iCantCU, your window into a world where blindness doesn't dictate ability. My name is David, at David Benj on all the socials. I really do appreciate you joining me for this episode. If you're keeping score, it's episode 298, 2 away from number 300. Let's start off with the Ziggy update. Now, as you know, he's been battling lymphoma. He is on his 4th round of treatments out of 6, and he's been doing okay. The medicine seems to be the biggest issue for him, is giving him upset stomach and a little lethargy. But otherwise, things are going good, or should I say were, until he got a hold of a corn cob on Sunday. I got half of it out, but the other half is in his belly. And he was due for treatment on Wednesday. They couldn't do the treatment because they didn't want him throwing up. If it was the corn cob causing that, they tried to give him some medicine. Well, they did give him some medicine to try to get him to throw up. He never threw up. Liz took him back Thursday, gave him some medicine to throw up, 2 doses, never threw up. Corn cob intact in his stomach. And that's where we're hoping it is tomorrow when they go and try again. It'll be more difficult once it works in further into past the stomach and into his intestines and stuff like that. That's when it will become an issue. If they can't get it out by giving him a 3rd different kind of medicine to get him to throw it up, they will have to, first they're going to try a endoscopic something or other, and they're going to go in through his mouth and try and get it. Kind of like a doggy crane machine, I guess. If that doesn't work, then they've got to go in and cut him open, get it out, sew him back up. That would delay the next cancer treatment for a couple of weeks. So that is a little bit distressing to us here. We thought today would be an issue, but they couldn't get him to throw up, like I said, with the other drug. And like I said, they'll try again tomorrow. Not going to lie, we're a little nervous about everything. And he was a little lethargic today, primarily because he couldn't eat. He didn't eat from Wednesday at around noon when he had the appointment until he came back from the vet appointment on Thursday, which was roughly about 11:30 a.m. So he was able to eat the rest of Thursday, and I gave him some of his favorite carbs, rye toast and some other things. And he ate a regular dinner. And then tomorrow morning when he wakes up, he can't have anything to eat, and they're going to give him another thing to throw up, like I said. And hopefully that works. Fingers are crossed. I never realized how bad a corn cob could be. Our old dog, Zamboni, who we had when the kids were little, who was also a golden retriever, and I probably mentioned this on more than one episode, he ate a corn cob, the same one, twice. Do the math. Yes, it came out and went back in. It came out the one end and went back in the front end. So that was something that we thought it was an easy thing. And the other day, Liz was there at the vet in Malvern. Now, I probably mentioned Ziggy has a new doctor. His old doctor had relapsed into a cancer battle of her own, so she stepped away from that practice. This new doctor tells Liz the other day, now this is Liz sitting there, probably not with Ziggy because he was probably still in the back, but the doctor said, we had a dog once beat cancer, beat these crazy odds, but then he died when he ate a corn cob. Now, why would you say that to someone who is worried to death about her dog? I don't get it, but that's what she said. And this new doctor is a little more wishy-washy than the previous doctor. The other doctor, we would say, what would you do if this was your dog? She gave us an answer. Liz asked the same question when given a couple of choices. What would you do if this was your dog? Well, you could do this or you could do that. Liz said, but I'm asking, what would you do? And she said, it depends. It doesn't depend. If Ziggy were your dog, what would you do? She did not give an answer. This is what I would do, like the previous doctor. And that was one of the things that we liked about Dr. Martin. So we'll see what happens there. But that is the update. Fingers crossed for him. And I'll let you know in the next episode, which hopefully will come sooner than a month from now. The primary topic of today's episode is the Rokid Style glasses. Now, I have them here. I am not wearing them. The glasses I'm wearing are a pair of sunglasses Jane got me from Amazon. They are similar to the yellow ones that I usually wear. However, I was watching one of the episodes of Federation Focus because I was using a QR code in the episode. And when I was watching another video, not one of mine, when I was watching another video and a QR code popped up on my Apple TV, VoiceOver told me what that QR code was. And I didn't know if that would work on the QR code I added to Federation Focus, which I do for the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. So I wanted to watch and see what happened. And it was the first time Liz ever watched me on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. And she commented about the glasses. She said, oh, they're a little yellow or orange. I forget exactly what she said. And I told Jane, and Jane told her, we got blue sunglasses for Dad after listener feedback. And and Liz said, did somebody else see you wearing those glasses? I said, no, it's what you said. So the Rokid Styles come in a case like this. They do come, not like this. This is them. I'm holding up a case. I kind of think it's tan or gray. I'm not quite sure. It is a nice case, but it is not the charging case. You don't charge them in here. The very cool thing about these are that they charge with this cord, and this cord that I'm holding up is about 6 inches long. It's got a female USB-C on one end, and it's got a MagSafe thing on the other end that attaches to the glasses, which I really like this part. What I don't like is I can't feel this cord very well because of the issues I have with my hands. So I'm afraid I'm going to lose this when I think I put it in the case or I pull out the glasses and it comes out and I don't notice it come out. So right now I'm going to tuck it back into the case so I don't lose it. At least if I lost it, it would be in Studio B. So let's talk about the glasses for a minute. They are similar to the Ray-Ban Metas. Now, these I got, you can see if you're watching on YouTube, I did get sunglasses. And I am going to put these on in a minute, but I'll talk about them for a little bit first. And trying to stop hitting the microphone. Camera is on the left side, just like the Ray-Ban Metas. And the one issue I have, and when I put it on, I'm actually going to shoot some video that I will then edit in as B-roll once I finish primarily editing the episode. They're not as comfortable as the Ray-Ban Metas. I do like the feedback that I get when it hears me. There's a lot of times that it doesn't hear me. If I wanted to record, I thought I was recording at one point. It wasn't recording. As I mentioned in the intro, I wore them to Baltimore about 3 weeks ago. And when I got off the train in Wilmington, there is an overpass that I don't know if it goes from the train station to something else. I don't know if it's just rail tracks that go above. I kind of think that's it because you have to walk downstairs into the station. Unlike most stations, you walk down to the platform. This one, the platform is above, and then you come down escalators or stairs to get into the station. But I'm standing out there waiting for a ride share. And there was some sort of festival going on in Wilmington that day. And I thought I was recording because I said, "Hi, Rokid, record video." And I couldn't tell because it was so loud. There were these motorcycles revving their engines, and it was I don't know, maybe 5 to 10 of them. I don't know. I obviously couldn't see them, but it was so unbelievably loud. Somebody came over to ask me for money, a panhandler. I couldn't hear her and she couldn't hear me. We had to, and I'm not sure, I got to be honest, I didn't know what she was when she came up to me. I was worried she thought I was was a John looking for something, but she was just a panhandler, evidently. I thought I was recording to show how loud it was. It wasn't. I tried several times. Now, there is, like the Meta Ray-Bans, there is a button up here that you can press and hold for it to start recording video. That part is great, but there are many times that I will ask it a question and it will give me a weird answer. For example, I want to know what the battery percentage is. Hi, Rokid, what's your battery percentage? And then it will give me a definition of what battery percentage is. Not interested in that. The sound is good. Again, I don't think it's as good as the Ray-Ban Metas. I need some more time, and I don't think I've played music with them. I've listened to a podcast with them. I think the speakers on the Ray-Ban Metas are better. One of the things that I was really hopeful for with these was the shooting 4K video, because it mentioned 4K in a press release, but it was a 4K image, which I'm not quite sure what that means. They do shoot in 4:3, and when I put them on, in fact, let me put them on now. When I put them on and shoot the video, you'll see that I'll first put them up at the original size. They, like I said, shoot 4:3. Now I just heard them click on. They shoot 4:3, so for a 16:9 aspect ratio, I'm going to have to stretch it so it fills the screen. But I'll first put it on, and you'll see the border around where you'll see part of Studio B behind the B-roll. And I don't know how good the quality is going to be when I stretch it. I may have used them on another episode. I don't think I did, though. So one of the things that initially I didn't like, there was a watermark on all the images and all the videos, and I couldn't get rid of it. Now, it could have been user error in the app. It could have been that the app wasn't fully accessible and I could not figure out how to get from one watermark to another to turn it off. I don't know if it's that the app updated and people had complained about the watermark, but it's gone now. You'll see when I put this up there. In fact, let's hit record now, pressing and holding. I hear a noise that makes me believe it's recording. And one of the similarities that I found with these and the Ray-Bans, I can never gauge where to look. For example, right now, I believe I'm staring straight ahead at where the camera is for the episode. When you see the B-roll, more than likely that camera, if it's even in the shot, is going to be all the way to the left side of the screen. If I want to get it in the center of the screen, I'm going to have to look more to my left. And I just can't always get that exactly right. There are times where I was playing with Ziggy and I chopped off his nose because I thought I was looking far enough to my left. We were in the car the other night going for ice cream, which since he's had cancer, we have taken him for ice cream multiple times. Dairy Queen has some. You just ask for a pup cup. There's another local place called Chill Out over in Ridley Park that we've gone to a few times. Homemade ice cream, but they also have soft serve there. And they do a dog treat that you can get in their case that's soft serve peanut butter and like a milk bone dog biscuit on top. He can't have the milk bone. He can have the peanut butter and and the ice cream, but he can't have the milk bone. So they make it quote unquote fresh for him when we go. And he loves it. He always starts last to start eating his and first to be done. But Jane was home last week and we went over there for ice cream and he devoured it very quickly. So you'll see as I look around Studio B, and it's a mess to my right, so please forgive that mess. But you'll see how I have the lights set up and you'll see there's the mess. But how much of that mess will you see? And we'll go the other way too as I turn to my left, there's the light that's right in front of my face. You can see some stuff over there, a jacket and a couple of hats. And I continue to turn. You'll see the door. And in my line of sight, I see about half the couch and the pillow and the light on behind that stuff. But what will we see when we actually view the video? And we'll discover that together. Well, I'll discover it when I edit, and you'll discover it when you watch it. So that's one thing in general that, and I think until somebody comes up with putting the camera in the middle, I think that's always going to be an issue of wondering if you ever got it. It won't make sense for me to ever purchase a display model, meaning there's a display. Some of the smart glasses now are coming out with the display in one eye. In the Ray-Ban Meta displays, they have it in the right eye. I see absolutely nothing out of my right eye. So again, useless. I don't even think it would work in the left eye because I don't see well enough even there to be able to see what may be on the screen. And I don't know that when you shoot video on a set that does displays, if you'd be able to tell what you're recording. I haven't looked that much into it because I don't know that I'll ever own a pair that will have a display in it unless that's the only model. When Apple comes out with theirs, if they only have one with a display, then I'm going to try them and we'll see what happens. One of the things that I was really hopeful for that I haven't had good luck with the Ray-Bans is step-by-step directions. And walking from the National Federation of the Blind National Center to a restaurant to have lunch down in Baltimore, I wanted to use the step-by-step directions. And every time I asked, it said, I first have to okay something in the app. And when I opened the app, there was nothing to okay there. So it couldn't do anything until I agreed to the terms and conditions. So I keep trying to get that to happen. And I haven't been able to get that to pop up so I can say, okay, and we're good to go. But it's supposed to be very good. It uses Google Maps. And again, walking down the street, stuff is coming right into your ears. It is so nice to hear. And for the most part, we found the restaurant fairly easily because I had looked on Google before I got on the train that morning. And one of the people at National Center had said, oh, you just go, and told us how to go. You basically dead-ended a school on the road that we were walking down, make a left, take the next street, cross it, make the right, and you're good to go. And you'll see it on the following corner, which it all worked out. That part worked out well getting there. Although the street sidewalks were a little wonky between the planters where they had the trees that lined the streets and the steps that came out, there was a very narrow walkway. I want to say it was somewhere between 18 and 24 inches, not a typical sidewalk width. I mean, maybe the whole sidewalk was a good width, but to cut through when you've got a bunch of blind folks walking and the sidewalk is a little wonky to begin with, and then you've got a narrow pathway to get between the steps and the trees, it makes it a little hairy. But not the glasses' fault. Using the glasses when traveling is nice. Now, one thing that I can't get used to, they don't cover as much of my eyes. They cover all of my eyes, but there's enough space on the sides that when it's outside, when I'm outside in the backyard with Ziggy and I am shooting some video, I can't see anything if the sun is behind me or the sun is in front of me, but bouncing off the fence. The fence is white. And I have some video that I'll run now as I'm talking about it. Because the fence is white, the glare, as I've mentioned a million times, I don't see much, but I see glare perfectly. And that seems to be the story with a lot of blind folks who have even a little vision. Glare is a killer. And I guess in some cases it could be if you're trying to cross the street and whatnot. But that's one thing that I can't get used to. I have a pair of Oakleys, not smart glasses, just plain old Oakleys. I don't remember what model they are, but they wrap around and are comfortable. As I mentioned, these are not as comfortable as the...
Do not block the camera and indicator light.
I don't know if you could hear that. It said I was blocking the camera or the indicator light. There is an indicator light here. I don't know what that looks like. It's on this temple on the right side. Maybe we'll be able to see it in the video. Maybe we won't. I don't know. But that's so you're not being a glass hole, to phrase that somebody first used with Google Glass back in the day because people would record others without their knowledge. And that's one thing that I think a lot of us are fearful of in the blind community, because people walk up, "Are you recording me? Why are you looking at me with those smart glasses, blah, blah, blah." Again, I'm using them primarily for the AI component and to show what it's like to walk around being a blind person. It's also a lot easier than to dip into your pocket to get your phone out and wondering if you're holding it right. Again, as I mentioned earlier, sometimes it's a little difficult with the figuring out how to adjust my head to make sure I'm getting the subject in the center of the frame, but still something a little easier to record somebody without their knowledge. I do like them. If I had to pick these or the Ray-Ban Metas, at this point, I think I would pick the Ray-Bans to go on a trip. These are supposed to have a longer battery life. In going to Baltimore, they lasted quite a while. At other times when I've used them and taken them as we've been out and about, it wasn't that long. So I'm interested to see how they last now. They weren't fully charged when I put them on now. I guess I should stop recording, huh?
Video recording has stopped.
That's interesting. I don't know that you could hear that. I think it's more noticeable with the announcements. When I was shooting some video, I'll try to find the one clip where I was shooting a video of Ziggy. And I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. And then I was recording when I didn't think I was, but you could hear whatever the phone was saying, whatever the glasses were saying to me. And Jane asked me, "Who were you talking to there?" I said, "That's the glasses you hear." That's one thing you don't hear with the Ray-Ban Metas. You never hear that. And when you stop recording, when you say, "Hi, R, stop recording," you can hear the voice, at least the tail end of it, saying recording stopped. With the Ray-Bans, when you say that, it cuts it before you can hear that. So I don't know if it goes back once it does stop recording. Again, I've got to play around with them more. I'm excited for, if you've seen the video this week of Google's new glasses, their step-by-step directions looks fantastic. Whether it comes immediately to the iPhone, which I don't think it will, and we discussed this in the most recent episode of That Real Blind Tech Show, and I'll put a link in the show notes and description so you can go to that, because we talked about a lot of different glasses and privacy and talking about glass holes and and whatnot. And it was a fun episode. You have them coming out probably in the fall. Who knows when Apple's going to come out with theirs? Maybe in the fall, maybe not till next year. Hopeful for those, but we'll see. And I'm starting to figure, to get video, to get 4K video, I'm just going to have to use some other device, whether it's a GoPro or one of the DJI cameras or the Insta360 cameras. It's going to be one of those that I think if I want video, that's what I'm going to have to use. The problem is I got to figure out a way to use it where I'm not holding it. And a couple of the manufacturers have something where you can clip it on via a magnet or some sort of lanyard right onto your clothes. They're just obviously a lot bigger than just wearing a pair of glasses. So we'll have to see how it all works out. Once Google announces their release date, I'll try those. And then once Apple comes out, I'll try those as well. Again, depending on the specs and how everything plays out. But the Google ones, as I mentioned probably in the last episode, one of the main things I would like to use the glasses for is navigation when you're out and about. You have it right in your ear. In the demo at the Google event, turn around and walk. Once you turn around, walk forward. It's got to be, for me, it's got to be that dumbed down to do that. Hopefully I can get there with these. I don't know, but we'll check it out. Now, I am an affiliate for the Rokid Styles. There's a link in the description if you want to give them a try. They're not as expensive as they were when they initially came out. They knocked some money off of them. I also got a couple of add-ons, one being lenses that I haven't even put in because I'm afraid I'm going to break it. But if you want to try them out, and I can't recommend going ahead and buying them at this point, but the link is down there if you do want to buy it. I'd appreciate you use that. I also have a link to the latest Ray-Ban Metas down in the description from Amazon. I would suggest, at least with the Ray-Bans, if you're not sure what size, what style, go check them out at a store, whether it's LensCrafters or Best Buy, wherever, and see what size you want, because there's two sizes. I have a big head, so I knew I needed the bigger size. I also tried them out at LensCrafters or Pearl Vision or something like that. And give those a go. Again, right now, for what I'm using them for, if the Ray-Ban Metas had 16:9 aspect, that would be it. Now, they are also, Ray-Ban is coming out with third-party access to them, and that's going to really improve things, where you can use things like Ira and some of the other things. Not with my Gen 1s. I would not use, there's an app called Orion that my glasses would probably last about 10 minutes and then die because of the amount of juice it would use to get me around. And that's part of a navigating app that sounds like it would be incredibly helpful, but again, not with the first generation of the glasses, because it's just not going to hold up. The battery's going to die quickly. And I do have a charger that I have that I want to do a video on, that is actually a sponsored video. Hopefully I'll do that in the next week or so. I keep putting that off because of the different things Ziggy is going through and everything else going on. I do appreciate you joining me for this episode of iCantCU. Again, it's iCantCU episode 298. Should have been to 300 about 6 months ago, but things have gone slower and it is what it is. Reach out to me if you have questions, comments, show ideas. iCantCUpodcast@gmail.com, iCantCUpodcast@gmail.com, or you can reach out via phone, 646-926-6350. I would really appreciate it. You do have 3 minutes. Please leave your name and town if you do leave a voicemail there. You can reach out on the socials. As I mentioned, David Benge. That's on Facebook and Instagram and Threads and Blue Sky and LinkedIn and, did I miss anybody? X. All those places. And let me know what you think. You can find an expanded article for this episode over on the website. That's iCantCU.com/298, iCantCU.com/298, numerically speaking. And remember, iCantCU sounds like a whole sentence, but it's only 7 characters long. iCantCU.com/298. Really do appreciate you joining me for this episode of iCantCU. Be well, stay safe, and I will talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you for joining David on this episode of iCantCU. Please subscribe on your favorite platform, like and comment on this episode on YouTube.